Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Bible Study Minute. Today we're taking a look at Acts chapters 13 and 14. And in these chapters, we see Paul and Barnabas in Antioch being called by the Holy Spirit to do missionary work. And in these two chapters, we see the work that they did on this missionary journey. So there's a common pattern here that we see while these men are traveling. We see them going to the synagogue, and they would preach in the synagogue. And even the preaching would have a familiar theme. And it's something that we've seen already several times in Acts, where they begin in the Old Testament, particularly with Abraham and God's calling of him, and going through Israel's history to show how Jesus Christ is the fulfillment of the promises given to Abraham and Moses. And we see all of that, and then how Jesus Christ was raised from the dead and offers forgiveness of sin. So that was the pattern. And then from there, they would go into the city, preach to the Gentiles, and then as a result of preaching to the Gentiles, the Jews that did not believe in this message would then begin to rile up the people and cause trouble for Paul and Barnabas to the point where they would eventually have to leave the city. But even with this, they would make many converts, and many people would come to faith in Jesus Christ. And this continued several times, even to a point to where Paul was stoned and left for dead in the city. And thankfully, the Lord kept him and kept him alive, and they were able to then go on to the next city. And so that's the pattern that we see here. And then as they make their way back to Antioch, we see them doubling back to many of these cities, and not only teaching these believers and leaving them where they were, but strengthening them in their faith so that they wouldn't just be where they were, but know how to walk and live as believers, and also know that persecution may come their way as a result of their faith in Jesus Christ. So not only did they preach the gospel to them, but they did some discipleship work as well, strengthening them in their faith. And that's what I want to leave you with today as you take a look at this passage, is really this one verse, chapter 14, verse 22, where we see the discipleship work happening, because that is such a key part of living this faith, is making sure that believers are strengthened in their faith, that we're not just telling them about Jesus and then leaving them on their way. We need to build them up in their faith so that they actually know how they ought to live as believers. And really, that burden falls on us who have been in the faith and are sharing this message with them. So that's what I want to leave you with today. And until next time, grace and peace.